myself shorter than you.
Why?
Because I can.
You can jack it up?
No, I like it.
You look like a midget right there.
I know.
Hey, Winston Templet here with the Real Estate Template. We're here with Mr. Scott Avery.
Hello, everybody.
So Scott, you and I have known each other for 2 years now, I guess.
Correct.
We have now been working together for
4 months.
4 months. I was going to say 4.
You were going to say 4 years. It feels like 4 years.
It's an exciting time. We got a lot of moving parts happening in our business right now.
We do.
You taking over complete management of the company, so that's kind of a cool situation to be in. Be interesting to see where we go from there. So what we want to talk about today is we want to talk about the upcoming real estate class that we got. So we got a class coming up on June 21st, June 21st, June 22nd, June 23rd. And Scott's going to be speaking there. I'm going to be speaking there. And we may have a couple of other guests that are coming in to speak for us also. We'll see. But we want to talk about what we're going to be talking about. So I want to bring Scott in and talk about what Scott is. So not what you do for the company, but talk about the benefits of what you bring to the table.
Sure.
When we do that real estate seminar.
Sure. So the big thing with myself is I'm a recovering public servant. I like to say that. I went in the Army in 1985, and I've been working in government pretty much ever since then. I have a police, fire, EMS, city management background, as well as serving on Planning and Zoning Commission and the Parks Board for the city I lived in. It was about 100,000 people.
All right, so what does that do for them that you've been a city manager? What does that mean?
So what I can do for you. So, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a real estate investor. What I am is I'm the guy that used to make the decisions on your applications when you turned them in to build something or do something or develop something. I was making those decisions. So what I do here for you and what I will share at the conference is what I would say when you come to me and ask, hey, what about this project? And I can answer truthfully, but it gives me the opportunity as, a farmer certified building inspector, farmer certified fire inspector, plans reviewer, all that stuff. I have the expertise and I was doing the job. So what I can do for the people is I bring that side of it. So it's not just the applicant. You've got me listening to some podcasts and all the podcasts are like, oh, the building codes, the building codes, the building codes. Well, I can tell you how the building code process works. How the building code process works is the people that manufacture those doors and those lights show up at the building code meetings and politic for the votes to go a certain way. And that's how the building codes work.
Isn't that government?
It's a vote at those meetings on whether or not to change stuff. So everybody's like, well, why are we putting all this stuff in? I can't answer that.
That was the electrical. So when the electrical book constantly changing all. And what it changes is because contractors come in and building inspectors come in and they all come up with these little, I'm going to say 50% of what they put in there is just goofy stuff that we all know common sense wise, we know it. Yeah. But, you get a kid that gets killed on a receptacle. Mm-hmm. And, they say, well, now we want an arc fault because we want it to trip a lot faster when it goes to ground. We want it to trip if there's some type of an interference with the electrical current in there. And so then they make it where every receptacle in your house has to be an arc fault receptacle, which then means you run your microwave too long and it trips off. You get moisture inside your microwave, it trips off if you put doing water. I mean, it just comes with all kind of crazy stuff that now starts happening that we deal with because somebody don't want to happen. And I kind of got a different view. I don't think we can protect the whole world. No. And I'm not trying to protect the whole world. And I think people need to take ownership of a lot of stuff. And the government don't have to protect us from ourselves as much as the government thinks they have to protect us from ourselves, which just gives them more control.
Correct. And my response to these questions about why do the codes keep changing like this is there's nothing stopping people from volunteering. It's a situation where we were talking about last class, we were talking about comprehensive plans and the view forward for the community. Okay, how many people in the room said, yes, I was involved in the comprehensive plan? None of them. No. You've been involved in one here in town. Mm-hmm. You showed up at 3 or 4 of the meetings while I was still city manager, but nobody in that room showed up, but they wanted to say, I don't like the direction it's going, And that's the problem is we worry about this, but at the same time, we're not stepping forward and trying to make a difference.
So we're going to talk about what a comprehension plan is, mm-hmm. or comprehensive plan is, whenever we get into the class and all. Right. And just give them a quick 30,000 view of what that means, a city's comprehensive plan.
Basically, if you can find the city's comprehensive plan, you should be able to figure out where they're building parks, where they're widening or putting in new streets, where they're putting infrastructure in, all these things, and probably where they're planning on annexing, because they're usually in that comprehensive plan. There's a 20-year portion, and they're looking out. So, as a developer, do I want to go out here where I know they're going to annex eventually, get some property, and start working towards a development, which isn't an overnight adventure?
So if the city has a 20-year comprehensive plan, what that is that is where they're looking at that city being 20 years from today. It's like you setting goals to retire in 20 years. What do you have to do to do that today? What do you have to do to do that next year? What do you have to do at the 5-year mark, and so on and so forth? That is the same thing of what cities are doing. So they build these comprehensive plans, and if you understand how it works, then you can change your investing to invest in the area that you realize that city is growing in, where they're going to put their money in, where they're going to go and apply for grants to apply to put there and stuff like that. So we're gonna go over comprehensive plans. What else are we going to go over?
We're going to talk about the zoning ordinance. We'll use examples that we're familiar with, but if anyone has particular questions they want to shoot to Winston before the class, I can prep for it. Last class we brought some New Mexico stuff up. Albuquerque.
Yeah, we had a guest last time that wanted some information to do some work over in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And, Alamogordo. Yeah. And Scott did a little bit of research prior to the class so that he could answer their questions. So if you got any questions, you can email him in, let us know what you got, and we can be prepared for that.
Well, the big one is the approved and conditional use chart. Remember that? I was teaching them how to read that.
What does that mean?
So that's where your zoning allows permitted uses. So if your zone is SR2 here in town, you're allowed to put a duplex, a townhome, or a single family home in that zoning. But you can go down the list and remember
is that really important?
Yeah, it's important.
How much do you and I talk about that kind of crazy stuff?
Every day.
We do. So the stuff he's talking about right there, I mean, I'm going to him all the time. What can I do with this piece of land? What can I do with this house? What can I do with this building? What can we do with this? I need to be able to change something to this. What do I need to do for that? So we're constantly going through that. And if you're going to get into real estate investing, you may not need that if you're just doing fix and flips.
Yeah.
But you do need to know how to deal with codes and deal with the building department and deal with the state electrical inspector or plumbing inspectors, whatever. So we'll hit on some of that stuff. But if you're wanting to build new construction, then you need to understand the zoning.
Yes.
You need to understand what's permitted. I mean, so let's talk about, we had some issues over there. What's that subdivision right outside of where Cartwright is? On the other side. Cimarron?
Yeah.
So Cimarron, they had 2 houses in there that were built within the city setbacks.
Yes.
So let's explain so this is how drastic your problems can become if you're not doing your job properly, and you come in here and you're just going to go build a house and you stake it off and you start construction, and you think that it is a city's responsibility to make sure you're putting that house in the right place, but it's not, it's yours. So what kind of happened over there? It can be any of those houses. There was 3 up, two over there, and there was another one over down off of Bethel Road.
So they built in the setbacks, and what could happen, I mean, it's probably not going to happen, but what could happen is there could be a court order to tear the house down.
But we did have a court order to tear a house down on one.
Right, but they worked around it, didn't they?
Well, no, I thought the one over off of Bethel Road did get tore down.
Oh, it did get torn down. It was before I was here.
So, but the 2 over here
did not.
Yeah. But from what I understand, they had to come in and redesign the house, tear the front off of the house. So what they did on those houses, they came in and tore the front off of the house to move it 10 feet or whatever. Yep. So they shaved 10 feet off of the front of the house and then rebuilt the front of the house. And the houses don't quite look right. They don't look horrible,
no.
But they don't quite look right. They look like, hey, something happened in the middle of this build. So they pushed the front of the house back to get it out of the city setback so that they could actually get a certificate of occupancy. But the city would not have given them a certificate of occupancy in that setback.
Yeah, no.
So let's talk about what is a hardship.
So variance, everyone talks about variances, and it's real important to understand what a variance is. A variance is something that waives building regulations in a town. So the Board of Zoning Appeals or whatever your town uses for that committee can waive the building requirements for a hardship. Now the problem is, what's a hardship? And hardship over the years has turned into whatever I want to do. I was just reading a court case from Tennessee about a guy wanted to build the peak of his roof on his garage 21 feet. There's a 20-foot limit. So they gave him a variance, but the neighbors took him to court, and the court said, you can't give a variance for that because it's not a hardship. He just has to build a 20-foot tall peak. He can't build a 21-foot tall peak. He needs to change what he's doing. So it's not about, oh, this is going to cost me more money. The perfect example is your Heather Drive house. Mm-hmm. There's no way you could have met the front setback because the topography was so steep.
I did not get a variance on that house.
Oh, you didn't?
Mm-mm.
You could have.
I did meet the setbacks.
You could have got one.
So on the one on Chelsea right next to that,
yeah,
we did have to get a variance on that one. So the way that lot laid, the lot just came off of the road, and like 6 feet off of the road, that lot just dropped.
Straight down.
And the other one was close to that, but it still had enough room that we didn't have to get a variance on Heather. But so when it dropped like in a 20-foot span, it went from ground level down 18 blocks.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how fast. I mean, it's like 13 feet, 14 feet
yep.
that it went down. And if I wanted to move the house further back to get in the correct setbacks, I just couldn't do it. There would be too much fill. It would be unstable ground. It just didn't work. So we went to the Board of Zoning Appeals, and we requested that they would give us, and I think they gave us maybe 10 feet off of the setbacks or something. It wasn't a lot, but it was about 10 feet that we was able to build it closer to the road. So the hardship was I couldn't build a house if I didn't have that, and I had a legal lot that was buildable. So technically I need to be able to build that house, so they got to do something to help me do that.
Correct. So now, that's what the variance is actually meant for, because that's a hardship that's outside your control.
But had I built that house and not got the variance, once that house is built, you can't apply for a hardship anymore.
No. Because you got to remember, the variance is a waiver to the rules. So what you have to do is you have to actually apply. The building official has to tell you, no, because of this, because of the setback, and then he's going to help you apply for this variance. And that's what the variance is meant for. It's not meant for, I want to build my house 3 feet close to the road or anything like that. It's
you got to have it. You can't do what you want to do without that.
Yeah, and the court case I was reading this morning, kind of freshening up on it, talks about how the 21 feet was not necessary. It's just what the guy wanted. So he went to the board and got a variance. So the court overturned that and said, no, you can't do it. And in addition to that, the court talked about how that wasn't a hardship because he created it. You can't create your own hardship. Mm-hmm. The hardship is the topography of the property is the most common example I find when I look at case law.
Well, it's kind of like where I live.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to hook to sewer.
Right.
But my driveway is a couple of thousand feet off of the road, or my house is a couple of thousand feet off of the road. And to get to the house, we had to get an excavator and jackhammer the side of a mountain out to go all the way to the valley of that mountain, and then jackhammer all the way back up the other side. So I'm on rock the whole way. So to kind of put the sewer in, pump it 2,000 feet all the way to the bottom of the hill, it would have required 2 grinder pumps, not one. And it would have just really been a mess.
Yeah.
So the city said, because of the hardship of you not being able to I don't know if it's a hardship, but because it was so far off of the road and because it just did not make any sense to do that, they told me that as long as I still paid the minimum sewer bill, that I would be okay to put regular sewage back, or regular septic tanks back there, and we did. But that what would be a case where that would be a variance instead? I guess that could have been a variance if it was just no way, but they said we could do it. So.
Well, that's not part of the building code. That's the reason it wasn't a variance.
Okay.
So that was something that just got waived by whatever's in the law. I'm not sure.
So a variance is only going to be on the building code stuff?
Variance is a state law. So the variance is covered under the state law. And it talks about how a variance is for the hardship that we talked about. So that comes from the state law and is tasked. It's one of the 3 tasks given to the Board of Zoning Appeals in state law. And it's how it is here in Tennessee, and it's how it was in Missouri when I was there. So that's what the variance is for. So when technically it is a variance to the law, but it's not the variance that we throw around when we're talking about construction.
Yeah. So anybody watching this, if you are thinking that you're going to have a problem building on a lot, don't think that you can just go build on that lot and it's going to be okay. You go do that, you're going to find yourself in a lot of trouble, and it could cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars.
And I'll give you an example that came out of the last class we did. One of the attendees came up to me and asked about building in his place, in his state, another state. And I said, well, what do you want to do? And he explained it to me, and it was basically townhomes, 6 per acre. And I said, well, what's the county, what's the city? And he gave me that information.
Little shout out to Jerry right there. He's
that,
always watching, so it's...
Yeah, he gave me that information. I went and looked it up. And then he sent me some stuff after he left. And we figured out that in the comprehensive plan, it's 4 per acre. So it was one of those things where he was able to say, oh, I can do this and this instead of that. So it's really about looking back and seeing what your density is allowed also. These are the types of things that you need to learn and you need to look at. How dense can I be? How far are my setbacks, which is a big thing. People forget that they have to have setbacks for a subdivision. But the problem is where do we run the sewer? Where do we run the fiber optic lines? Where do we run the electricity? Because everything's underground now.
Yeah, and you got to look at that. We got a lot down the road, over by where I live, that we bought, and it's going to be a tight build because it's a kind of a peculiar shape lot. So if we can't build what we want, there's nothing on that would give us the ability to get a hardship on anything because we can build on it. Mm-hmm. But what we want to build on it, we may not be able to build on it because the footprint may be too big.
Right. And it doesn't allow us to turn because of the shape of the polygon.
So we got to figure some of that stuff out.
Yeah.
But so when you come into the class, if you got questions, let us know if you got a question about it. This is the kind of stuff we're going to talk. The whole class is interactive. I mean, from day one, the start of it, we're going to start talking about some numbers, and as we're running them numbers, if you got questions, we're going to talk about those number questions you got. We're not going to sit there and say, well, we don't have time. I'm not in the mindset that I want to go out there and I got an agenda. I got to get through every slide that I got listed. If we get through them all, that's great. If we don't get through them all, that's fine too. The biggest thing I want to do is I want to leave that room with anybody and everybody that has paid to attend this class to walk away with the knowledge that they want and not walk away not knowing what they did and fearful to ask questions, and then they don't get anything resolved, and they go back home and they still don't have all of the answers. So that is what the class is about. And we talk back and forth, and I had somebody say at the last class, I love the class, absolutely love the class. I have never attended a class that the whole entire time we were going back and forth with the audience. And it's not a lecture. I'm not here to lecture. No. Scott's not here to lecture. We're here to give you any information that we are holding that we can give you to make you successful in your real estate investing, and then talk you through the process of what to do. And hopefully, in the end, anybody that comes to that class will actually go out and do a deal.
Absolutely.
There is nothing that can give us more pleasure than to hear somebody that came to the class last time and
now it's successful.
And now they've bought their first property.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty cool place to be.
It is.
So the class is $2,000, but you get to bring a guest. And with that, you actually get to attend the next class that we bring up also. So for that money, you're going to actually get to attend 2 classes, not just the 1 class that you're in. Because a lot of times we go to 1 class, we do it, and you walk out of there and there's just so much information.
Yeah.
I mean, when we say jam-packed, when we start at 8 o'clock, we are rolling. And chances are we're going to roll through lunch a little bit. On Sunday, we didn't take even 1 restroom break from 8 o'clock to 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
No, we rolled all the way through.
And we just rolled. We told people if you need to go to the bathroom, go to the bathroom. We got a lot of content we want to cover, and we want to give you all everything that we got. And we just kind of popcorn talk. One of us get up there and teach, next person get up there and teach, and we get through it. Christina will not be there to do property management, but I will do, and we will do a property management class also. If she decides she's going to come, then that'd be great. We'd love to have her do that with us, but I don't know at the moment. She said she wasn't going to be there, so I don't know. But if not, we will still go over property management, maybe not as in-depth and as detailed as what she does, but I really don't know that we have to do that either.
No, and make sure they download their mortgage calculator, right?
Yep, we will give you a picture of a mortgage calculator we want you to download, or we can do it when they're here, I guess.
Yeah,
We'll do that.
yeah,
But
I'm
we'll
just
talk.
saying-
We'll talk about how to use a mortgage calculator and just the importance of being able to understand where you are, understand what you got. I mean, hell, we get monkey wrenches thrown in the fire all the time. I got one in my life right now.
Yeah.
And what do you do with that? You just deal with it.
Yeah.
You know, you got these problems, slap you in the face, kick you in the nuts. You just keep on going and say, all right, well, we're not going to sit here and fold over on it. We got a business to build, so we're going to keep on building the business.
He asked me 3 times yesterday, 3 separate properties, are they cash flowing? I'll go look. We'll figure it out.
And that's so.
And that's how we approach it. We
Yeah,
approach
so-
it that if something's not cash flowing, figure out why, and if it doesn't work, we haven't done this yet, but if it doesn't work, my intention is to tell you to sell it.
Absolutely. Thank y'all for watching. We hope y'all attend the class. There's a link in the bottom of our bio here, on our bio. Just click on that link, sign up, and I do not think you'll be disappointed.
Can't wait to meet you all. I'm excited for it. I learned so much last time. I'm going to learn a lot this time, especially from you all, learning the intricacies that you all have picked up through your experience, just like we have.
Thank y'all.